My favorite hobby is family history. My second favorite hobby is sewing. One of the things I love is to make quilts. I want to share this special quilt that was a quilt of my grandmother's, and there were 105 names embroidered on the quilt. In this video, most of the names are females. It is harder to find females because we often don't know if the last name is a maiden name or married name. I will give two examples of how I searched for two women on this quilt. Alright, I have this quilt that is my grandmother's. My sister actually has it, and I went to visit her this summer. And so I took pictures of the quilt, and then I took pictures of each of these little pieces that have names on them. And I believe there's about 100, I think 100, 104 names. So I went through, after taking the pictures, going through the pictures, and I put it all in Excel. And I wrote down all of the names. I have them listed here. I did it in this order, and then this is in alphabetical order. I switched it to okay, let's see if so up here, this is the alphabetical order, and then when I first did it, here we go. So if I have the name, and then I would find it on the picture number 3 and picture 41 has this same person on it because some of them have duplicates. Anyways, this project turned out to be a lot harder than I thought. I just thought, oh, I'll just go through and find these people. Some of them I knew right away, but there's many that I'm not sure who they are. So I just wanted to go through and show you a little bit about my process, especially since about 90% of these people on here are females, and females are much harder to look for than males because I don't know if it's their maiden name or if it's their married name. If it's their maiden name, it's not too hard to find them. But when I don't know, it makes it harder. And I think my guess is that 70 to 80% of them, it is their married name. And names like Kephart and Watts and Nelson, I know those are family names. But Ugaldia is not. Forgalino is not. Josephine Caldwell, I have no idea. Melissa Thompson, I didn't know. I did find out she's a relative, but I wouldn't have known that by the name. Anyways, I want to go through and show you some of the process of what I've been doing to find them. And then when I do find them, I'm recording the number over here in Family Search so that I can find them again. So the first person I want to find is Letty Roche, and I don't know whether she's a relative. So let me give you a little bit of background on this. This quilt was made, I believe, in about 1936, and I thought it was finished by 1940, but I found somebody on there that was born in 1941. So I think they started at about 1936, 1935, and didn't finish it till at least 1941. Anyways, it was made by my great-grandmother, I'm pretty sure, and I think my great-great-grandmother, and I think they made it for my grandmother. It has lots and lots of relatives on here. Probably 75%, 80% of these people are relatives of some way or form. But many of them are people. My grandmother was married my grandfather. She had moved to teach in Paradise Valley, Nevada, and so she lived the rest of her life there. So my mother was raised there. Her siblings were all raised there. And then my grandmother's parents came and lived there probably the last 8 or 9 years of their life, and my great-grandmother, her mother's mother, came and also lived in Paradise Valley the last few years of her life. Anyways, I believe that many of these people on here, especially those Italian names, are people that lived in Paradise Valley. They were their friends. My grandmother also attended Dillon University. I should have looked it up before. It's Northwestern Montana University or something. It's in Dillon, Montana. And some of these people I'm finding, I believe, were friends that she made when she was going to what they called normal school. She went to get a teaching certificate. They also lived on an Indian reservation. That's where my grandmother grew up on quite a few different ones, but one was in Rosebud, Montana, and I'm finding that some of the people are from there. So just knowing that background helps me find some of these people. So I want to walk through some of these people and how I find them. So let's find, where'd she go? Letty, where are you, Letty? Here it is. Letty Roush, and she is quilt number 25. I had to number the pictures. So let me find that picture. So this helps me find it. Letty, and it looks like a G and R-A-S-C-H. Let me full screen that. Rosalie, Nebraska. And down here, this is the one, the patch that helped me know kind of the time frame. You see, they have, it's the only one that has a time on it. It says 1936. So that kind of helped me. So I'm going to move this over to my other screen, and I'm going to put this one down. Okay. So here she is, Letty George Roush. And she was pretty easy to find, so all I did was go find, and I put in Letty. I think I put in R-A-S-C-H. I don't know birth dates. I don't know how old some of these people are. And anyways, I just did a find. And she happened to be the first one to come up. And it's a Georgie. But I wasn't sure. This came up, so then I go to her. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's her or not. 1866. My grandmother was born 1906. So this probably was not a friend of my grandmother. It was probably a friend of my great-grandmother. Anyway, so I look at the sources on the people that I think. And 1870, she's in Hardin, Iowa. That didn't help me at all. 1880, Decatur, Nebraska. I did have a lot of family in Nebraska. My Keparts, my great-grandmother, was in Nebraska. This one's in Decatur, Nebraska, which I'm not sure. That's the 1885. And it skips to 1910. And look at here. I have Rosebud Indian Reservation, South Dakota. Oh, Rosebud was South Dakota. Okay. They lived at Crow Agency, Montana. And Rosebud, South Dakota. This is the one, the kicker. I thought this has got to be somebody that they knew when they lived in South Dakota, because they lived on this Indian reservation for a few years. So I am pretty sure this is who this is. So what I'm doing is I'm going to the memories, and I have uploaded most of the pictures. So I click on go to my gallery, and I'm going to say quilt picture 25, and it is not in there, so I have to add that one. So let me pull that up here and bring that over. Oh, let me see, I've got to get out of here. Okay, quilt 25, so I'm going to upload that. Okay, well, that's processing. I'm trying to find. Okay. I have copied. Okay, so now I want to go here. It should be, it's in processing. I click on it, and hopefully it's going to come up. Go back here. Sometimes I can't get it to come up this way. So what I do when I can't get it to come up that way is I go to my memories up here. I'm glad this kind of happened. Go to gallery. And it comes up, it says it's processing, but I can add the title. Quilt picture 25. Then I can click on it, and it usually will take me in. Yep, there it is. This is what usually comes up from the person, but it didn't this time. So over here in the description, I just put this in here. This is Blanche Schwartz quilt, and it was probably made about 1936, and I save it. And it also has down here that I contributed it, and it has the image that I uploaded. So now that is on Letty. So let me go back here. Let's see if it comes up. There it is. It's come up now. So now that quilt is there. Now I did this, and I've been doing it for the last week or so. And I've already had somebody who's contacted me that said, I see that you've added something to her great aunt and wanted to know some information. So I told her about it, and she happens to be one of the women that is from Paradise Valley, that is from Italy. And so I shared with her that there's many other people from Paradise Valley that come from the same place in Italy. And so it gives her a little bit more. She said she'd already noticed that, but it's a way for her to start researching, because many of those people may be related in Italy. Anyways, that's how I found Letty and how I added the memory, the picture that had her name on it. Okay, I noticed on here that it was Letty, and I changed it to Lottie, because I've noticed that all of these sources there and here all say Lottie and not Letty, and that's what I had on my record. So I changed that to Lottie. Let me pull up my Excel sheet again, and here I have Letty, so I'm going to change it in my record to Lottie. And then on my record I have changed this to red, saying that I have found, whoops, see if it changed. It will not change my Excel. Okay, I just have to go in here and switch from one sheet to the other, and then it lets me make changes. Whoops, wrong person. Here we go, Lottie. Change that to red. Okay, and then I need to put in her ID number, which I just copy from over here. This helps me, so if I have to go back and find these people, I don't have to go through the whole process of what I've found before, because sometimes I find it's hard to find them a second time. So this helps me keep track of them. Now I want to do Melissa Thompson. I don't recognize that name at all, and Pinehurst, Washington is what it says. Let me pull up quilt 11. Move it over here. So we have Melissa Thompson, Pinehurst, Washington. And I really don't know who she is. And again, I'm working with a female. I don't know if this is her maiden name or her married name. So I took a different route this time, and I went to Ancestry, and I typed in Melissa Thompson, Pinehurst, Washington. And I had to use Google Maps to kind of see where it was at. When I came up here with Pinehurst, there's one in Seattle and Everett. And so I was trying to decide, well, I have quite a few of the Kepharts that are, my grandmother's maiden name was Kephart. Her parents, her father, some of his family went to Washington and were in Everett. So I'm going to put in that, Everett. And so let me change this to Everett. And it comes up here. So I'm going to do a search on that name and see what comes up. And there is a Melissa B. that's in Find a Grave. And it doesn't, and she's also in Everett, Washington, born 1902. So I can't remember exactly what I did. Let me go to here. I'm trying to remember exactly how I figured this out. Okay, I went here and found her, and then I start looking at these, and it comes with a Henson, and that Henson name sounds familiar to me. So I started looking through some of these records, and trying to go through here. Let me see if this is it. Okay, here she is to Edwin Thompson. This doesn't give me any more information or anything that looks familiar, but my family, the Kepharts, were in this county here in Washington. Snohomish, I'm not so sure how to say that. She was named Henson, so let me look here. And this was the one that I found. This one, it says Melissa Henson as a granddaughter. And here's David Kephart and Harriet Kephart. And Luella is the daughter of David and Harriet. David is and Harriet are my great-great-grandparents. And so this is the line I come through, and so she is a granddaughter of them. So I'm pretty sure that this is the correct Melissa Thompson. I think I have found her. So let me go over here, and I will go to my tree. The easiest way for me to find this and get there is, here's my line. This is my grandmother. Here's Kevin. Here's David and Harriet right here. So I'm going to go to his tree right here. Hopefully you can follow what I'm doing. And here is Luella, and she married her second husband. So I'm going to go to Luella and go to her tree so that I can change to this James Henson. I think it will change it. I'm hoping it will. Try again. Sometimes it does. Oh. Alright, I will go to her person page. I can't get it to change. And I have, oh, they can, let's see, here it is right here. Here is Melissa Henson. Let me go to her page. And there I have her married to Thompson. So the thing that I have found from doing this work is how interesting it is. Before they had computers, before they had the technology we have today, this quilt shows me how much they kept in touch with their relatives. These are distant relatives of my grandmother, Blanche Kephart. But they kept in touch with them and had to do it through letter writing, and they knew who their relatives were. I'm very impressed with this quilt and how many relatives were distant relatives, but they knew them and knew who they married, where they lived. So now I have Melissa. I can now take her this, copy it, and put it, so I can take this and put that number there. And I'm going to go ahead and put she is on quilt 11. And let me see, I think, okay, quilt 11 has not been put in yet, so I'm going to go to her memories and go to open up the photos. And I'm going to take quilt 11, move it over here, drop it in here. I think I have to give it a few minutes. Sometimes it works pretty quickly, other times it doesn't. Let me see if I can pull it up. There it came. So I'm going to add the title, quilt picture 11. Save that. And I will come down here to the description and add this so that they have some idea of where this picture came from. And again, just to remind you, it has that I contributed, and there's the image identifier. So I found Melissa Thompson, and I was really shocked that it was actually a member of the family, a family related person. I thought it was one of the friends of my grandmother, somebody that they had known somewhere else. Anyways, I'm hoping that this kind of gives you an idea of how to search for people that you're looking for, especially women. If you think they're related, trying to find a relationship to the family, but trying to find them in family search, sometimes you can just type it in, but in her case it wouldn't have come up because that was her married name and not her maiden name, as in with uh, Lottie Rosh, that she had never married, and so hers was easy to find. She came up with that name. Anyways, I hope this is helpful, and the remainder of this um, I will just show pictures of the different quilt pieces with the different names, so that if you want to continue looking through there, if you think that somebody that you're related to might have a picture on there, you can find it. Anyways, thank you for watching. The quilt belonged to Blanche Kephart Schwartz. We believe it was made by her mother, Viola Watts Kephart, and her grandmother, Martha Skaggs Watts. The names on the quilt were Blanche's children, sisters, parents, grandparents, cousins, nieces, and descendants from some of these people. A few of the spouses also appear on the quilt pieces. This quilt piece, with the name of Lottie Rosh, has the date of 1936. We believe they started the quilt in 1935 or 1936. Since some of the pieces have distinguishing marks like this, it is believed that the pieces were sent to individuals to embroider their own names and identifying information about themselves. Many of the quilt pieces tell where the person was born, but this is not true for all the pieces. Many of the pieces give the location of the person's birthplace. This is my mother, Edith Schwartz. Her siblings all say Paradise Valley, but my mother was the youngest and only one that was born in Winnemucca, Nevada. I think the quilt was finished about 1941 or 1942. If I have identified the correct person here, then Eileen was born in 1941, so the quilt had to have been completed around that date. A few others were identified by their maiden names and were married about 1939. So their pieces were completed before 1939. These are samples of the fabric pieces used to make the quilt. The following 9 slides are a list of all the people found on the quilt. At the end of each name is the image with the quilt image or images their name can be found on. Each person's name appears on the quilt only one time. Some people's names appear in more than one image. After the list of names are the images in chronological order. There is the age 24. Please feel free to share about your family history quilts or share ideas for making family history quilts in the comments. Happy hunting!